I'm the one your Lord Father wants. Set them free, and I will go willingly.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're talking about scenes in the Rings of Power series that either did not originate from J.R.R. Tolkien's source material or were significantly expanded upon through creative liberties.
My children have endured cruelties your bravest couldn't bear to hear spoken aloud.
Are you prepared to spend their lives so freely? Adar.
Number 10. Galadriel's Lost Brother.
This mark was left as a trail for orcs to follow. The last time I saw it was on my brother.
In the Rings of Power, one of Galadriel's motivations is vengeance for the death of her brother Finrod. As her early voiceover dictates, Finrod lost his life while fighting the war against Sauron and Morgoth. The tragedy fuels Galadriel's resounding hatred for Sauron. As told by the Silmarillion, though, Finrod's fall is much more elaborate. In text, Finrod made an alliance with early men, ancestors of Aragorn in fact, and this kinship inadvertently contributed to Finrod's demise.
My brother, Finrod. And my husband.
Husband?
Celeborn.
While Finrod was murdered by Sauron in both versions, Galadriel's direct desire for retaliation is embellished on the show. The series also has Galadriel believing that her husband Celeborn perished in battles against Sauron.
And so, we hunted. To the ends of the earth, we hunted Sauron.
Number 9. The Rite of Sigin Tarag.
Remarkable. I never dreamed to find your city so changed.
Well, 20 years will do that.
Has it been only 20?
Tolkien never explicitly wrote about a friendship between Elrond and Prince Durin, but it's certainly a significant part of both the TV characters. It's in the spirit of the elven and dwarven bond shared by Legolas and Gimli.
Well, this is a thing unheard of. An elf will go underground, where a dwarf dare not.
Their kinship is best represented by the challenge of Sigin Tarag, the dwarven tradition of strength. Elrond uses it as a means to converse with Durin in the midst of a politically complicated Middle-earth.
Here we go, elf.
Elrond admirably holds his own, but his forfeit ultimately allows for dialogue that aims to establish a major alliance between dwarves and elves.
20 years may be the blink of an eye to an elf. But I've lived an entire life in that time. A life you missed.
Number 8. Miriel as the Queen Regent.
No one kneels in Numenor.
Sorry.
Speak, elf.
As daughter of Numenor's king Tar Palantir, Miriel is Queen Regent of the Numenorian people when we first meet her. And when Galadriel and Halbrand end up here, the Queen Regent makes certain to establish her authority. In Silmarillion history, though, Miriel holds no such command. The scene in which she shows Galadriel the Palantir never happens either, though it does foreshadow a great catastrophe that is consistent with Tolkien's writing. Adding to Miriel's character development includes a desire to reconnect the relationship between elves and men, another conflict which has been dramatized in the adaptation.
We are to walk the path of the faithful. It must be me who takes the first step.
Number 7. Gilgalad explains the Divinity of Mithril.
On one side fought an elven warrior, with a heart as pure as Manwë, poured all his light into the tree to protect it. On the other, a Balrog of Morgoth channeled all his hatred into the tree to destroy it.
We've got a lot of love for Mithril, since it saved Frodo's life in the Fellowship of the Ring. But Amazon's series grants a further level of divinity to the metal that's, quote, as hard as dragon scales. Elf King Gilgalad expresses his belief to Elrond that there's an existential design behind this enigmatic material. As Gilgalad sees it, the light of the heavenly Valar is present in Mithril, and the possession of that substance's power will rescue all of elfkind.
The power.
A power as pure and light, as good, as strong and unyielding as evil. They say it seeped down the roots into the mountain depths where for centuries now it has waited.
Since the show also indicates the presence of Mithril in the Dwarven mines, this is a setup for interaction and hopefully cooperation between elves and dwarves.
I promised Durin never to reveal his people's secrets.
And what if keeping your promise to his people meant ensuring the doom of your own?
Number 6. Introducing the Harfoots. While the Lord of the Rings prologue does make a mention of Harfoots, the Rings of Power lets us really get to know them. They are ancestors of the Hobbits that we know from the Third Age, and this introductory scene emphasizes their sense of community and resourcefulness.
You know the rules. We're not supposed to be out this far. If we didn't do everything we weren't supposed to do, we'd hardly do anything at all. Let's go. Me first.
It's also the gateway to the audience, with a few protagonists that the Tolkien prologue would not have otherwise allowed. Most notably Sadoc Burrows and Nori Brandyfoot. Some of their communal traditions, such as the Trailfinders and use of star books, were also invented for the show. It adds to the history of their race, albeit with particulars that have been newly developed for the series.
If you don't mind, I'd just like to sit a while. Watch the sun come up.
Number 5. Meeting Tom Bombadil.
See, you found the goat.
Tom Bombadil is one of the most talked about Tolkien characters, one that's only now making an on-screen appearance. In The Lord of the Rings, he saves Frodo and the gang in the Old Forest, and he makes comments suggesting that he may be one of the oldest folks in all of Middle-earth. We get to see him meet the stranger here, and he offers possibly important advice about heavy tasks that still need to be done.
Let him out again. You should not be working. Eat earth. Dig deep.
His playful magical powers make him eccentric and enigmatic, trying to capture the essence of his character from the book. And his tendency to save people from unruly trees is still ever present.
Been a while since I've been called much of anything, but back in the Withy window, folk used to call me Bombadil. Tom Bombadil.
Number 4. Forging the Elven Rings.
So, do we proceed?
No. We must make 3.
In Season 1's finale, Halbrand unlocks the riddle that ultimately allows successful forging of the Elven Rings. While Sauron certainly influenced their creation in Tolkien's words, that didn't happen quite the same way. In the show, the Elven Rings were the first to be created, despite being chronologically last in the books. Tolkien also writes specifically that they were, quote, unsullied for having never been directly touched by Sauron.
What do you plan to use them for?
Fëanor's jewelcraft managed to capture the essence of Valinor. I had hoped to do the same for Middle-earth.
The Rings of Power isn't exactly contradicting Tolkien's story, but the idea of using alloy, along with Halbrand/Sauron's direct participation in molding the 3, provides a brand new scene. The use of Finrod's dagger as material was also added, though that story element does strengthen Galadriel's bond with the rings and the optimistic potential that they represent. Number 3. The Creation of Mordor. Tolkien never specifically described the exact creation of Mordor, but the Rings of Power writers have inferred their own version. During a consequential battle between humans and orcs, a follower of Sauron's evil servant Adar uses a magical sword to cast a wicked spell on the surrounding land. What follows is flooding, blackened skies, and a volcanic explosion that births Mount Doom and the land where shadows lie. Analyzing the text suggests that the eruption of Mount Doom took much longer, and Sauron shows his realm in the Southlands more for its geographic isolation than for a fiery and scary appearance. However, shortening the timeline of Mordor's creation helped the 7th episode's narrative reach a speedier climax. Number 2. Halbrand the Deceiver. Introducing Halbrand may be one of the most controversial decisions that the Rings of Power showrunners have yet made.
Come, see for yourself.
Not until you tell me who you are.
You know who I am.
Who you really are.
Galadriel, I'm afraid I don't...
His story sort of follows the model of Tolkien's writing, as Book Sauron embodies a false form that ultimately manipulates the elves. He's a prominent cast member here, though, and his journey with Galadriel is a unique creation. Halbrand's cunning friendship with her is new, and it ultimately leads to this pivotal moment when Galadriel deduces that her ally is not who he seems.
No penance could ever erase the evil you have done.
That is not what you believe.
Do not tell me what I believe.
It seems the show writers wanted us to first meet Sauron with a human-like personality, perhaps in hopes of making the Dark Lord even more detestable as the story develops.
Now who is this man?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Stranger's Identity.
A wizard does not find his staff. It finds him.
Back when The Rings of Power was just a trailer, one of its biggest mysteries was the astral meteorite that carried the stranger. There's been plenty of uncertainty among fans about his identity, but Season 2's finale let us know, and it did so with one notable callback.
Gandalf. That's what they're going to call me, isn't it?
Now let the song begin.
Though Tolkien's Unfinished Tales has Gandalf arriving in Middle-earth during the Third Age, there are hints in other texts that suggest he may have visited at earlier times. The writers ran with that idea and told an unexplored origin story for the emblematic wizard. Awakening the Balrog of Moria was another unwritten moment that we see.
Run! Run, father!
The presence of both in one episode is darkly poetic, since Gandalf is ultimately the one that slays Durin's Bane. What was your favorite Rings of Power scene that didn't come from the books? Let us know in the comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.